Joining me now is Jeremy Blockey, Councillor candidate. Welcome to Newsport, Jeremy.
Yeah, thanks, Michael.
In a nutshell, first and foremost, why should Douglas Shire residents vote for you as councillor?
Well, I think I'm putting a different perspective on what council needs to be doing, and we've heard today, and probably I've got the benefit of talking after everybody else has been here talking and asking questions, but in all honesty, there is a need to get a broader perspective. It's not just about Port, it's not just about Mossman, and I think the farther reaches of the Shire are actually not being heard, and that's certainly our experience. And whilst that's not the only reason I put my hand up, it's certainly right at this moment very, very pertinent, because we're being left behind, having been closed off from the rest of the world for 12 weeks basically. So yep, it's dear to my heart right at this moment, but I'm much broader thinking than that, and I guess my role as President of the Douglas Chamber of Commerce is probably a manifestation of the fact that I take a much bigger picture view of the world and advocating for the whole region, not just for one part.
Sure, noted. Now, we'll move along. So, Jeremy, in a nutshell, Jeremy, let's just nail right down on one or two specific policies or priorities that you intend to implement, advocate, or drive as a councillor. Like, what change, key focuses do you have when you step into that chamber if you get voted in?
For me, one of the biggest threshold issues is lack of communication and engagement with the community. So when we look, I'm not just talking about Facebook posts to talk about water supply or road closures and stuff like that. I'm talking about getting an understanding of our community. So if we're feeling the pain up at Cape Trib because of road closures, how the hell can council understand what we're going through unless they come here? If Port Douglas is feeling the pain of water supply issues and council aren't doing forums in that town to gauge the impact of water supply issues on businesses and the broader community, how the hell can they understand what's going on? Why the hell should they be there pointing the finger at the bigger businesses and the bigger water users saying, if you don't minimise your use, we'll start shutting you down? I mean, that's just not the way to go about dealing with your community. You've got to engage.
You're a very intelligent man. What do you make of this ongoing national water disgrace that we have in the Shire? What's been your read of it? And in your ideas in a perfect world, what's the solution to this? Loaded question, but just what you think about that.
So first up, I'm not a water engineer, and secondly, I haven't been privy to any of the discussions or going out to site to have a look. I have actually tried to go up to a couple of sites, but I've got barriers that I can't cross. So my direct understanding of what's involved on the ground is much more limited than, say, the current councillors. So where I'm looking at it is we need to be understanding, why did we get it so wrong? Where did we go wrong in the planning of these things? And we've had a 20 million litre tank that was opened only a handful of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, I think it was. Why is that not able to provide the water supply that we need now? And if it's because of the...
Do you buy into the turbidity argument, or do you just simply believe that ageing infrastructure has cost us dearly? Let's be very honest.
Okay, so absolutely, turbidity is probably a paramount problem. I see it in the creeks around our place. Rocky creeks are full of silt. My paddocks are full of silt. You can't deny the fact that that's a massive problem. But what are we doing to solve the silt problem? Are we going uphill, upstream, to start to deal with the silt problems, or are we just reactive, seeing the next load of rain come down and the silt comes into the system? And we're forever having problems because the silt's just not disappearing. So surely there are some other strategies that these, high-flying engineers, water technicians, whatever, surely there are strategies to build settling ponds somewhere. I mean, in extraordinary times we have to do extraordinary things. We can't keep doing the same old, and we can't just sit there and wait for the next rainfall event to cut us off from water. We should be up the hill. We should be finding ways to create settling ponds. I don't know the terrain. I know it's going to be a difficult job, but we've got to be doing something better than what we are doing right at this moment.
In a nutshell, what's been the biggest mistake council's made in the past 4 years, in your opinion?
Without a doubt, the ferry. Number one.
Just on that, bridge or ferry, like in a nutshell, I know you're an advocate, but you're passionate, but just your perspective or take on the bridge or ferry argument. What's the future, Jeremy, in your opinion?
In my opinion, the bridge is, look, let's be honest, the council study on getting a bridge was suggesting it's going to cost 60 mil, and that's about 5 or 6 years ago. If we got the same study done, repeated today, it'd probably be 100 mil. But that was an at-grade bridge, and we've got a navigable waterway. So how do we deal with that? So we have to have a hump or an opening. So 100 mil is going to be 150 mil. By the time we actually get to do it, it'll be a 200 mil job. It's going to take 10 years, 15 years to get a project like that.
So how do we get a ferry, Jeremy?
So now we need to come back to what is the solution here is a ferry. We need a new ferry. For goodness sakes, we've got people who can build ferries in Cairns. We don't have to go overseas. The previous process of going to tender, which was 4 years ago, before the term of the last council ended, they went out to tender and they had 4 or 5 proponents who had ferry solutions that were going to be rolled out within 18 months. Now, the incoming mayor at the time put all that on hold pending the outcome of more community consultation about a bridge, and we lost the time to get that implemented, and then they walked away from that, the preferred tenderer. So we've been dicking around for 4 years, we've got nowhere, we're actually further back than where we were before. We need to go back out to tender for an owner-operator ferry, and not for back to the old way necessarily, but it worked very well. The operators did the job. If there was a maintenance issue, they did it after hours and it was back online. We lost so much when we saw the back of those guys. They did a tremendous job, and hindsight's a wonderful thing, but we ruined the day that we didn't get those guys stitched up, signed up, and we've got 2 ferries by now.
Let's move on to sustainable development. For one of the most beautiful shires in the country, we have a shire that many say is not moving forward, that's stagnant, that lacks development. I want to know what your take and your perspective is on things like the wave park, hotels, not being approved. I want to know how you see Douglas looking in the next 5 to 10 years through sustainable development.
I want to close up now.
Look, it's a big question. It can be very difficult to answer in a very short,
Tell me in
concise
60
minute.
seconds or less.
60 seconds, go. Pressure's on. Look, there's no doubt that any community needs some level of development, a refresh of facilities. Now, I'm not a big fan of sort of Disneyland type of things. As for the wave park, look, to be perfectly honest, I didn't really know enough about it. I can see a lot of angst about, where it was going to go and why it hasn't happened, and I understand all of that. The community's being disenfranchised. Whether you support the particular outcome or not, the process has been very, very poorly handled. And I think that's what comes down to the basic problems that we have in council. If we want to talk about development, we need to have some greater level of engagement with the community, doing town plans again, after 5 or 6 years this year. So it's really something that we need to be not just relying on the expertise within the council, we need to be relying on the interests and expertise outside in the broader community, and that's been one of the biggest things that we have been lacking in the last 4 years.
Jeremy, good luck and thanks for your time.
Thanks, Michael.
Cheers.